Hello and welcome to What the Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Monday, March 15th, 2021. Welcome to Day 55. Joe Biden deployed FEMA to the U.S. Mexico border to help shelter and transfer thousands of unaccompanied migrant teens and children who are currently being held in Customs and Border Protection detention facilities and tent shelters. There are roughly 4,000 children currently in CPB custody, a 25% increase from a week ago. The Biden administration has struggled to expand Health and Human Services shelter capacity, where about 8,500 teens and children are currently being held. Unaccompanied minors continue to arrive more quickly than HHS officials can match them with sponsors. The current average time that children are spending in facilities, which are designed to hold adults for 24 hours, has increased to 117 hours, 45 hours beyond the legal limit. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said that a CBP facility is no place for a child, but that border agents are working around the clock in different circumstances to take care of children temporarily in our care. The White House has declined to call the situation a crisis or label it a national emergency, which Trump did in 2019 to circumvent Congress and fund his border wall with the money that lawmakers refused to give him. FEMA will temporarily house up to 3,000 migrant teenage boys at a Dallas convention center in an effort to alleviate overcrowding at the border facilities in South Texas. The K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center will be used for up to 90 days beginning this week. Moving on, the CDC's COVID-19 guidance during the Trump administration was not grounded in science or primarily authored by staff, according to a review ordered by Biden's CDC director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky. The review was part of her pledge to restore public trust in the agency. It found that some of the guidance used less direct language than available evidence supported, needed to be updated to reflect the latest scientific evidence, and presented the underlying science base for guidance inconsistently. Meanwhile, the CDC warned that the U.S. could see another surge in COVID-19 cases as states relax restrictions and Americans return to airports for spring break travel. CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky said, "I'm pleading with you for the sake of our nation's health. Cases climbed last spring. They climbed again in the summer. They will climb now if we stop taking precautions when we continue to get more and more people vaccinated." The Transportation Security Administration, however, has screened more than 1 million people every day since Thursday, the highest volume in a year. Dr. Anthony Fauci warned states against the risky business of eliminating public health measures, saying even though things are headed in the right direction, caseloads were still too high to declare victory by eliminating restrictions. "Don't spike the ball on the 5-yard line," Fauci said. "Wait until you get into the end zone. We are not in the end zone yet." Moving on, the Justice Department has arrested and charged 2 men with assaulting the Capitol police officer who died after being sprayed with a chemical by rioters who were storming the Capitol on January 6th. While it's not clear whether Brian Sicknick died of his exposure to the spray, Julian Ellie Cater and George Pierre Tanios were charged with 9 counts, including assaulting 3 officers with a deadly weapon. The Justice Department said that the rioters were recorded on video talking about attacking officers, including Sicknick. Meanwhile, the United States has about 1,000 more troops in Afghanistan than it had disclosed, bringing the actual number of troops to around 3,500. The Trump administration and the Taliban agreed last year to remove all remaining American forces by May 1st of this year. Biden still hasn't decided whether the U.S. troops will remain beyond the May 1st deadline or leave, ending America's longest war after more than 19 years. Back in D.C., the Defense Department's Inspector General's office concluded its long-delayed investigation into Michael Flynn and his acceptance of money from Russian and Turkish interests before joining the Trump administration, a potential violation of the Constitution's emoluments clause. The IG's investigation was opened in April 2017, but was put on hold for more than 3 years. After Trump pardoned Flynn, the Justice Department allowed the Inspector General's office to resume the investigation. The watchdog's office closed the investigation 1 week after the Biden administration took office and then sent its findings over to the Army. Moving on, the White House is expected to propose a suite of federal tax increases on corporations and the wealthy, the first major hike in almost 30 years. The goal is to fund key initiatives like infrastructure, climate, and expanded help for poor Americans. The tax hikes would be included as part of infrastructure and jobs packages and would likely include repealing portions of Trump's 2017 tax law, which benefited corporations and wealthy people. The planned increases reportedly include raising the corporate tax from 21 to 28%, increasing the income tax on people making more than $400,000 a year, expanding the estate tax, paring back the tax preferences on pass-through businesses such as LLCs, and setting up a higher capital gains tax rate for individuals making at least $1 million. The Tax Policy Center found that the plan would raise about $2.1 trillion over 10 years. And finally, officials found the audio recording of Trump's call urging Georgia's top investigator to find evidence of voter fraud in the trash folder on her device. The audio file of the December 23rd call between Trump and investigator Francis Watson was discovered as part of a public records request. State officials originally said they did not think the audio of the call existed, and it's not clear why Watson moved the audio of the call to her trash folder.
That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditas.